Hello, I hope you're having a good day. What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Sandra Lopez, and I'm from Santa Paula in California.
And what is your current occupation?
I am a senior project accountant at the moment.
That's pretty interesting. I love seeing all the wide varieties of people's occupations, so that's kind of like something that I hear and I'm like, oh. So did you have any family members who worked in the fields in California?
Yes, I have. I have my father, my mom, and my grandfather that I recall.
How do you think that impacted you growing up, having your parents and like your grandparents work in the fields?
It was very moving. Personally, it was very moving for me as far as like seeing how hard they're working and to want to, each generation within our family to, get better. And at least for me, it's been motivating to make my grandparents and my parents proud of, what their hard work has, what all their hard work came, what came out of their hard work.
Do you remember anything specific that your parents would talk about when they would talk about working in the fields, or like any memories that come to mind when you think about it?
Um, there's a lot from different topics, just as far as how hard it was, immigration, um, the different programs out there. So it varies. Like I've
Yeah.
have so many. They've shared many stories with me. As far as my grandfather, he was part of the Braceros program, which, they would hire people from Mexico and they would come just during the season. Once it was done, they would go back to Mexico. I remember my mom always telling me like that was the only time she would see my grandpa. And pretty much each time he left, it's like my grandma was pregnant again.
Oh my goodness. That's
So,
wow. I wasn't ready for
yeah,
that answer.
yeah. So it was just like, he would come, during the off season and be there for like a month or two and then go back. As far as my parents, I just remember, always just the hard work. I just the everyday of just seeing how tired they were and the s- the stench of just citrus all the time with them. I never forget that smell. And just
Wow.
seeing too, like just go ahead.
Oh, what I was gonna say is my dad talked about picking like oranges and picking strawberries, and he would always say like you could always smell it afterwards. So I thought it's very
Yeah,
interesting that that's what you mentioned. You're like, I just remember the smell of it. So
yeah.
I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like I think one of the hardest or the saddest stories I always hear is like, I mean, my mom never said it was, done intentionally, at least to their knowledge, but it was always such a coincidence. She would always share, like, whenever the season was ending, it's like immigration would always show up right at the
Mhm.
end of the season and would always end up taking those undocumented people. And that was always sad. It's like, what a coincidence that it shows up on the last day, why not during in the middle of the season or stuff like that. And those are like kind of like, just that stories that they share that's like, what do you do
Wow,
with that
yeah.
information, right? It's just kind of unfair. Was it done purposely? Who knows? But
Yeah.
very, what a coincidence.
So I know you
Yeah.
were born after the 1970s movements, but having learned a lot from your parents and their experiences, how do you think that movement impacted farm workers today? Like, how do you think that like influenced farm workers today?
I think personally, like I know with my dad, and I'm sure it's from overall just generations, changing and stuff, but just just hearing the unjust stuff that would happen in the fields and just inspiring also my dad, like, no, like there's laws now, dad, that you can say stuff, and just also giving them a voice. Um, I think that was a big thing that has helped that industry, I could say, now they do have laws. Now they have longer breaks. Now there's like, you can't work out, if it's a certain degrees out there, like you can't work if it's too hot versus before there wasn't such laws. It's like they would just have to, there was nothing protecting them, no overtime protecting them or anything like that.
Mm. When you think about some of the time that you spent living in Santa Paula, obviously that was like more of an agricultural city since like that's where you guys like lived. What's like a memory
Mhm.
that comes to mind from like your childhood of just living there so close to like the farms?
Always having avocados, lemons, oranges, strawberries at home. No, I mean the city itself always it thrives on, the field workers here and everything like that. I mean, it's like you said, it's a city based on agriculture, so it's well embedded in the city. And I mean it still is. They have the citrus festival each year, and it's what Santa Paula is all about.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to mention that I haven't covered?
Um, no, I just think from back then to now, a lot has changed. And I'm happy, like, people now working in the fields have l- definitely better wages than before. There's laws implemented to protect them, and, everything from labor laws to safety, health and safety, having the proper equipment when they spray out there. It's come a long way, and it's still not done. There's still more, it's still, there's more work to be done, but it's definitely headed in the right direction, I feel.
As I would say one of the younger generations, since this is during the 1970s, so it's a much older generation, but why do you think it's important for young people to know about this kind of movement? Like personally.
I think just in general, I mean, from it's such a I'm trying to answer. It's such a big question. I'm trying to answer it very small.
It
I
is a
think
heavy
just
question. Yeah.
yeah, I think just in general, like knowing the importance of where our food comes from and just appreciating the hard work that goes into it. I think people definitely take it for granted of how much it takes, how it's just not appreciated as much as it should be. Um, it's hard work, and it's just not just people take it for granted, I feel like.
All right. Well, thank you. That is all my questions, and I appreciate all your time.